Hampton Catlin, right?
Catlin, indeed.
I've never heard anyone pronounce your name correctly before.
Oh, yeah, Hampton.
Okay, very good.
Good work.
Okay, thank you. So he's going to be talking to us about his adventures in Ruby Land at the Wikimedia Foundation. So, Hampton.
Yeah, that roughly that topic. We're gonna see what we do. I'm actually be talking about sandboxing talk notes. X project. Oh wait, somebody left this up here. Actually, really good work. This is all the code for the sandboxing live code. So really good work. I should think of that next time that I try that. Yeah. So my name's Hampton. You might know me as Hamel Guy. Because, swear to God, that's what people say all the time. Like, you know, they're like, oh, hey, Hamel Guy. So I wanted to have a t-shirt that just had, like, Hamel Guy here. Yeah, I also somehow stumbled into a job at Wikipedia. And so we're going to start off talking about that. This is the least planned talk I've ever done in my life, or you've probably ever seen in your entire life. But I know that I do 4 things well. Programming, ranting, drinking a lot, and screwing. So those are my 4 skills. So I'm just going to use... yeah, I'm totally getting fired. Yeah, so... but ranting is what... I missed that, but probably funny. Yeah, like ranting a lot, and I have a lot of opinions. So I thought, why not just kind of share some of those and wrap it up, and some of my life philosophies and stuff like that. So, Wikimedia, how I got started with that, I was working at a company called Unspace. They're all up there. And great development shop in Toronto. I was having a great time working there. And one of my friends, Melissa, came up to me, or I think she may have had something, and she was complaining that her new iPhone, which I didn't have an iPhone, did not have a Wikipedia app on it. She's like, reading Wikipedia is so hard. And I drunkenly said, hey, I'll write one for you. And I went out the next morning, I skipped work, and bought a book on Objective-C, and I spent the next 3 or 4 days over the long weekend, and I wrote it. And, it's pretty simple. Like, it's not that hard. That's what I kind of thought. I was like, wait, just format it, strip some stuff out. I wrote a nice Ruby backend for a server to do the formatting, so I didn't have to, Objective-C is kind of like C, and doing string stuff is, not fun. So I was like, I'll build a Ruby backend for it. And, I launched it. It was the first Wikipedia app on the iPhone store. Sold it for 99 cents. Made tens of dollars on it. Okay, maybe a little more than that. It was enough that I decided to. I'm from Florida, so I decided I'd been in Toronto long enough, and I said sayonara to my wonderful workmates, and I just decided to kind of build products and work on the iWik. It was called iWik. Work on that. Moved down to Florida. My family's there. Hang out with them. Probably drink a lot, and so I did that, and then I used the word Wikipedia in the title, iWik, Wikipedia for the iPhone, and that was a trademark violation because it was in the title. So I got a very nice call from the Wikimedia lawyers saying you can't use the trademark. And very nice about it, we were kind of talking about it, and they're like, we really need you to change this really quickly. We got to protect our trademark, et cetera, et cetera. And then, I asked, I was like, well, what if I wanted to use the trademark? Like, could we make a deal? And he's like, let me put you in touch with our CTO. 2 weeks later, I'm at the Wikimedia office. They bought it and then hired me for not very much. So don't be impressed with the bought it part. But they hired me to be their lead mobile developer. And that all happened in the span of like 2 months. It kind of shocks me. Like, I still am like, wait, I work for Wikipedia? Really? Yeah, but, it's something I'm really passionate about, information. I know there's a talk about open voting and stuff like that, and I really believe that for the future of the world, that information is power. I think pretty much everybody here would agree with that. We're programmers, we think that way. Like, having information in rural China, having it in Africa, having it in America, having it, everywhere in the world, it is very important that information be open and that people be able to find information. So, not only did I get this cool title, but, I get to be part of that. Part of my job is to make sure to go out and make sure that information gets into as many hands as possible. So I got the job, right? So I started doing it, and I built this big MERB and GoGaRuCo backed. It's the second platform ever launched by Wikimedia, because everything else is just MediaWiki, which is the default software. So hands up, good job to us for and Ezra's here. But for the Rubyists, we have such a good bit of technology now that they didn't even flinch when I wanted to move over to it. Well, that's kind of not true. The other developers didn't mind using Ruby. The IT guys, yeah, they were a little upset because all they knew was like Ruby really slow. We're going to be totally dead in the water. They were like, how many servers are you going to need just to barely handle, So that made me, it was like a challenge. I was like, all right, I gotta do this. Like, I gotta prove that Ruby can be fast. Which is one of the reasons why I use MERB. I do believe in most environments, it doesn't, I use Rails for a whole bunch of my other stuff. But, when you really want that, like, those extra milliseconds count, and I want to make sure I had a full framework there, MERB was obviously the answer, because it's that, even if it's 0.001, if you multiply that times, seconds, 0.01 seconds, or percent, if you multiply that by millions and millions and millions of users, that becomes an issue. I used to always tell my clients that doesn't really matter, who cares? But I wasn't building for Wikipedia. Like, all of a sudden it gets a little more intense when you realize that, like, all, one link and, like, all that traffic from the 5th most popular sites, like, streaming at you. And so good news for us, it's really fast. Thanks to YCats for helping me with the GoGaRuCo parser. I was like, hey, this needs to be faster, and I chatted him, and then he sent me a patch like a couple minutes later and made it fast. So good work. By the way, if you ever have a problem, just email YCats, and he will totally. Or Nathan Weizenbaum, I learned that one, who now maintains YAML. Those guys are really good at that kind of stuff, and you should always use them for that kind of thing. So, all right, so enough about me. Oh, wait, I do want to add on. So the mobile gateway is on GitHub. It's off my account, hcatlin, and it's an open source project, and we're definitely looking for people. I've probably got 5 people that have been giving patches in, but we're, this is building a part of Wikipedia. Like, this is a very major part, and it's going to get bigger and bigger, and, we're supporting more and more phones. And if you have a weird cell phone, or something about Opera on the mobile, you've done any little bit of work, you're totally needed. And you can write on your CV at that point that you did a patch for Wikipedia. So that's an advantage. But what I wanted to talk about, I think, more than those kind of specifics is I want to encourage people here to try to be a visionary. Being a visionary, it's such a big word, right? Somebody's like a professor, you get some sort of grant to be a visionary. All that word means is that you see something, right? I mean, that's a visionary. You just see something. And every single person here sees things all the time. Opportunities, new pieces of software they think of, stuff they wish they had, all that kind of thing. I know you guys are coming up with that stuff all the time. And what I really find stunning is how few people do it. I didn't own an iPhone, but I downloaded the SDK and did it. How many developers had iPhones at that moment? How many of you guys had iPhones? It's not that hard. And people don't take that risk. They're like, well, I've got a lot of things to do. I don't have a lot of time. I don't know if I'm really good at that. Learning another language. But so here's my little checklist for being able to do this. So first of all, do you have any ideas? Does anybody here not ever have an idea? Have you never? Yeah? Oh, I'm sorry, man. Yeah. Yeah. And are you a business guy? Is that? You have to be smart. And I'm pretty sure everybody here is smart. If you know how to program, I'm going to put you in the smart category. So I'm pretty sure everybody here is at least above average smart. And then you just have to drink a lot. That's the other one. It works for me, so I don't know. But that's all it takes. Like, there's no magic, right? I mean, let's. Where are you, Yehuda? Because I was talking about you anyway. Yeah, there he is. So Yehuda writes 1 million things on GitHub. Like, he has 1 million projects that he's worked on and patched and done all that, you know. And he's a fantastic programmer, much better than me, and I'm sure much better than most people here. But that isn't what's important. It's that you do it. Like, it's just doing it, you know. Like, how many times have I seen people fork a project, spend like 30 minutes on it, and then not finish the work? You know, it's like you really have to commit. I think what happens is you feel like, well, it's not going to be good enough. You know, my idea, I don't know if it's good. I don't know if I can do it. You know, I don't know if I have the time. Do I really want to commit to this kind of thing? And you just have to do it. I mean, you have to grow some balls. Like, that is the most important thing. Like, seriously, I know that sounds so stupid, but really, guys, like, when you have an idea, just go and make it happen. Like, it's that simple. And you know what? Your first ones, if you're a new developer, they might suck. I mean, it might be horrible, right? But that's okay. Like, just do it. And then do it again and again and again, and you'll finally hit something. One of my rules, though, about any sort of business venture I start is there's like a formula. It's like the amount of work, the amount of like initial work, continuous work, and possible profit. That's always my little formula. So, you know, a lot of times I'll hear, like doing a lot of client work, people will have ideas and they're like let's say it takes like a sales team of like 50. You know, it's like, oh, we're going to have to go door to door and install something, or, you know, we're going to have to raise a lot of capital to get this done. Basically things that take a whole lot of continuous energy to keep going. I throw those ideas away. If you have a lot of money or know somebody with money or like raising money, or go for it, right? And there is a lot of money to be made doing that. But really focusing down on, you know, I kind of always run through in your mind when you have an idea, you know, can I make this run itself? I mean, basically right now, I'm going to be totally honest, I probably work about 15, 20 hours a week, and most of my things just kind of keep going on their own, and, you know, ad revenue, that kind of thing. Like, you know, some people make a decent living writing blog posts, but, you know, for me, that's like, no, I'm not going to do that, because it's, you know, not that much money, and you have to keep blog posting all the time. It takes so much work to do it. So I'm encouraging all of you guys to be really lazy. Find those ideas that you don't really have to do all that much. I mean, support emails are support emails. Like, doing that, you know, obviously it takes work, it takes time, patching, keeping up with things. But, you know, really focus down on your life. Or if you're looking to start a business, which, you know, about half my ideas. Some I'm like, open source is a fun idea. I'll just go do it this weekend. And then other ones I'm like, ooh, I can make some money. But, you know, always focus down on those ideas, especially, I mean, that's why I'm talking to a room of mostly developers, this isn't a startup conference. Those kind of people, you know, that's a whole different group. But for you guys, like, we totally have the power. I don't think we have to have business people. I think we know business at least well enough to, you know, as consumers, look at what you want to purchase, look at what the people around you want to purchase, you know, ask your friends, you know, hey, does this sound like a good idea? Would you do that? And, you know, I think the final part of this is, hey, what time is it? I just talk sometimes. It's either been like 5 minutes or like 40. Oh, 15, right in the middle. Is find what you're passionate about. Like, when you get excited, like I wanted to do the Wikipedia app because I get really, really excited about Wikipedia for some reason. But, you know, find those things. Like, if you're really into some, like, dog breeding, right? Like, are there any really good sites that, you know, people can contribute to help learn about dog breeding? Like, it doesn't matter. Whatever your little weird hobby is, you can totally, absolutely turn that into to either a project for no money or a project for money. Yeah, just really, like, kick that thing going. And my last point is, I guess I'm on my last point, or whatever. This is what happens if you don't plan your talk or have any slides or anything. It's about being cool. So I was a total nerd in high school. Nobody really liked me. I was really shy and I didn't talk to anybody. And I decided after that, like, couple years later, I realized that there's no difference between cool people and uncool people. It's just cool people decide to either just be cool or just don't give a shit. Like, you just do it. So the reason I bring that up is because, when you're doing business stuff and when, like when I walked into the Wikipedia office for my interview, like I knew I was going in for a job to be an iPhone developer-ish or do something, right? And I mean, really, like, how many other people would have been way better in that respect? Like, how many other people had, I've been doing 10 years of Objective-C and I wrote the original compile. Like, but you have to walk in and just say, I can do this. Like, I can do that. And if you put that outwards, you'll feel it inwards too. I'm still the same nerd that I was in high school. Like, I still, after talk, get shaky and I'm like, oh my God, it's such a horrible job. But don't. But it's about projecting that you can do that and telling yourself you can do it. Like, if you have an idea, and I think this goes back to doing the ideas that you have. Like, when you have those ideas, do them. Like, seriously, you can toss off pretty much any idea you have in about 2 days worth of work. You can do it in a weekend. At least a basic functioning one, right? Like, I mean, whatever it is, it's a site for selling stuff. Just a good idea. Write it down. Maybe an auction site, right? So, like, let's say you had the idea for eBay. Let's say nobody thought of eBay, right? I mean, it's kind of an obvious thing. Someone's like, hey, we should do auctions online. But it's very possible that nobody would have built it up to this point. Like, would it take you more than a weekend to write a quick and easy auction site? Like, I mean, it'd be about that. Like, it might not be great. There's a lot of things, there's payment processing. But you can get that functional prototype working after a weekend. And you can show it to somebody and say, hey, what do you think? Like, you can look at yourself. You can get excited about what the next feature is. Think about it in the shower. What's next? What am I going to do with this? And so even when we're like Amazon, right? Who could build a simple shop? Like, read the Rails book. Like, it's building an online shopping thing, right? So, like, no idea is that hard. It's just you have to do it. And I mean, it makes me get really upset when I think of the ideas that are not done. The number of people who have those great ideas and don't just take a weekend of their life and build it. Get yourself a lot of caffeine, a lot of alcohol, for me, a lot of cigarettes. Sit down and get it done. And, or whatever calms you down. But, lock yourself in a room and just get it done. And trust me, you'll be very proud of it in the end. And that's the way that you can build, your skills. You can build, because, I mean, learning programming, that's the best way to do it. Start from scratch. Like, I know a lot of people who learned, like, working in a company maybe, and they've already got software, and so they kind of learn Ruby that way by looking at stuff. And I think that's kind of a bad way to do it, because you're kind of looking at their decisions, not really having to approach it fresh every single time. So that's why tossing off little projects is great. It's absolutely great. Have a little idea, a little personal thing. Go build it. Build your own blogging engine. Why not? Like, if you do those kind of things, that's what's going to make you a really great programmer. I absolutely believe that, because every time you're having to say, well, wait, how should I model that? Right? And then maybe when you go back to work and you're working on that same app, you go, oh, that new feature, we should totally rebuild that, and it'd be really easy because I did it this weekend, and that was really nice. So keep those kind of things in mind. All right, so I'm just going to do questions right now. Well, I want to see if I can keep talking, but I want to see if there's any good questions. You guys are a shy group, and I feel like I can work with whatever you got. So, yes, sir, in the back. This is Major Tom to ground control. Thank you.
Hey, your site's on the 503 error right now, so I have to ask this question. I can't research it before. What do you make of the Roads framework and the Wikipedia solution for it?
All right. Do you work for Roads?
No, but I know the CEO, and I saw him last week in LA talking about the Wikipedia client for Roads.
Yeah. I definitely know that. That's a good one. So yeah, my site's 503 because whatever my VPS I got right before my talk, they're like maintenance thing, and that's an old server and it doesn't reboot itself right, so I have to go in and do it. Sorry, my blog's not up. So part of what I'm doing at Wikimedia now is I was tasked with so I had my original iPhone native app, right? It was an Objective-C, had the Ruby backend, and it would have been rather simple to kind of convert that over, have it pointed to a Wikipedia server, and then whatever, do a couple changes, and that would be fine. But I knew that was too small of a goal. I wanted to be able to run on a whole bunch of different platforms. Like, we can't just be an iPhone company, or people have Blackberries, people have Symbian phones, they have Instincts, whatever those run, and so I ran into the Rhodes framework, RHODES, and it is a Ruby-based local web server for a phone that will run on iPhone, Android, Symbian, Windows CE, and BlackBerry. So yeah, 5 platforms, all with the same code base. You do have to do it uses a web browser on the phone backed by native code. So you do have to restyle it for each of the phones, make it look like how it should look on the phone. But for me, basically, when I first saw it, I was like, wait a second. All right, so if I want to support all these phones, I can either have 6 code bases, none of them in Ruby, or one of them in Ruby, actually, the back end, or I can give this a try. So yeah, we're building the native app in Rhodes. When we started with using that it wasn't as built for the kind of thing we were trying to do. So there were some hiccups with trying to. Rhodes is really built for synchronizing. It keeps a local database on the phone, and it's really good if you ever. It's actually really good for a complicated app. So if you have something like an accounting on your phone or something like a little accounting thing, it can synchronize with a remote active resource thing. So like it'll actually go through and update fields, and it kind of does this cool synchronization algorithm. That wasn't really what more it's reading and then caching is what our app does. So there was actually a bit of loopholes to kind of strip out some of that stuff. But it's been very cool, and it's coming along very quickly. And the fact that in a BlackBerry Symbian and iPhone simulator I can get the app running makes me feel very, very good. Because, I'm hoping the next couple months, we should be launching the iPhone one next weekish. And then after that, the next couple, month after month, I think we'll be putting out ones for all the different types, all those 5 major phones, which is like 90% of the market. And that's pretty amazing to be able to write one bit of code and then have it run on all those different phones, and hopefully do it well. But we'll see. Yeah, there you go. Any other questions, topics, jokes, song requests? No? Really? You guys are that shy? Nothing? Jeff? I see you looking around. Nothing? Oh, man. Yeah, so Rhodes getting Ruby on the iPhone. Let me make sure I get this one right. Sorry, on the iPhone, it compiles a very simple version of Ruby. I keep wanting them to extract that out. It's not right now. But there is, you can pretty much copy their make directory for their Ruby and compile it in your Objective-C thing and run Ruby on the iPhone. They took anything that was a problem on the iPhone and stripped it out. So, there's a lot of stuff you can't do. I think they had to make some hacks. I think initially it didn't do stuff, but I think it does most everything now. But yeah, I keep asking them, I'm like, when are you just going to make that, like, I think people would, as we heard earlier, like to run Ruby on the iPhone. So, and they've got it working. The one trick is you can't eval, because in the terms of service with Apple, you can't download and execute code. But I guess that doesn't include JavaScript, because you can totally do that. Like, browsing a page is downloading code and executing it. But, yeah, you can't eval. But whatever. You shouldn't be using that anyway. Yeah. Nothing? All right, well, okay. Yes. I think the Wikimedia backend, like the mobile formatting service. There's a lot of competitors for that one. Oh man. the first client project I ever did, a thing called VideoFact, and I can say it out loud because I went through voluntarily a couple of months ago and rewrote it for them without charging them. I was like, yeah, just let me go through and. There was there was like code in the views like everywhere. I think I had a controller that was 1,000 lines long. Oh, it was horrible. I looked at that thing and just because I fixed it up was because another development shop was going to take over working on it, and I was like, oh man, I cannot have them see that. That'll be like Twittered and they'll like do a snippet, and be like Hampton wrote this. It was horrible. Yeah, the animal guy did this. Yeah. The Wikimedia backend server, I'm definitely proud of it. It's really fast, and it's more than just a mobile Like, the fact that it's called mobile is a bit of a misnomer. It's really a formatting service. So, and it's like extremely. I built it, and I'm very happy with the results after a lot of changes. That like it's basically extensible as hell. For like any format you want, basically. Like I can do custom XML. It can be based on user agent. It can be based on some JavaScript that runs. It can be based on IP address. Like it kind of uses because we have the problem of like a million different types of phones, and we have the problem of 100 languages that we need to support. It becomes a lot of different things that might go on 3 minutes. Finish it up. 2 minutes. Oh, was that a question or 2 minutes? Mm-hmm. Actually, what? Oh, sorry. The question was MediaWiki, which is a software that runs Wikipedia, is PHP and MySQL. So how do we plug into it? Just like you browse it. It's actually a direct download. Like it grabs it off their server. I mean, it's on the same server farm. They're like right next to each other, and the main caching server's right there. So it pulls it and then parses it with GoGaRuCo, and based off the device that we have registered, that's where it's a formatting service. And so then it does it, and then it spits it back out. Currently with no caching, and yay Ruby, the server is doing 500,000 hits a day, and the load is 0.01 or 00. So I'm pretty happy with that without any caching. All right. Well, I think that's it for me. And thank you for listening to my ramblings. I'm sorry it wasn't necessarily organized. You should totally follow me on Twitter, though, because I'm total Twitter whore. It's at HCATLIN. And it's awesome and hilarious and just as witty as this. All right.